Hey, it's Jennifer from Belladonna's Botanicals, and to my side is Corey the cat taking a bath. Anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit today. This is answering a couple questions I've had from various customers, subscribers, and stuff like that. I want to talk a little bit about evocation, invocation, and channeling, because it all involves working with different spirits, and our methodologies for using it. These three things can manifest and work very differently for each person. I myself, because of my chronic pain, some mobility issues, and neurodivergence, I've had to modify a lot of how I work with the spirits. Now, if you're someone who's a ceremonial magician or like to do big, hours long, hours of prep, evocation every time you work with a spirit, if that's what works for you, that's great. I've had to modify a lot of how I work based on my physical limitations. So I do a lot of work either through working in the astral realm. I do a lot through like guided meditation or through any type of meditation and channeling. And this was how, how the spirits work with me. So, no one way is, maybe some will argue, but to me, no one way of working with spirits is superior or better or more or superlative to another. It all is going to be based on what we're comfortable with. And, some of it does come to skill level. It's sometimes people look at, well, how much time does it take to do something? Well, I can't really judge that because, and this isn't just with this type of work I do. Like, I've always been a very efficient worker. So something that it might take someone else 4 hours to do, I can bang out in an hour. I think I got used to doing that because I was worked in jobs before where I was literally working the jobs of 4 people, and had no problems really keeping up with that. Idiot bosses, yes, but like I just work very fast and very efficiently. Do I occasionally forget to dot an I, cross a T, or color out of the lines? Sure. But for the most part, at the end of the day, I do just as good of a job at that in the time frame that I allot myself to do that as someone who might take 4 hours to do that one thing. So it's also why a lot of times with ritual for hire magicians, when you see like really high price tags attached to things, that's because it's taking them hours and hours and hours of prep and work to do this, to do what they're doing. And that's their process. And, that's great for them. So a little bit of this goes into not only my personal workings, but how I create some of my products, especially ones that are spirit oriented. So when it comes to evocation and invocation are sometimes used interchangeably. Evocation is the act of invoking the spirit, whereas, invocation is calling or summoning that spirit. So they kind of go together. So when we do that, and I've done it in varying ways over the years, as I said, I've modified it. This can be as simple as, just being, for me, I work with Lucifer almost on a daily basis. So for me doing an evocation of Lucifer is me going like, hey, Lucifer, you there? Or something like that. It's not, it's not the most exciting, magically, looking thing in the world. When you start working with spirits, what you'll start to realize is they're kind of always with you. So how you call on them maybe if you're calling on them for the first time, maybe add a little bells and whistles, but they're pretty what's the word, malleable, adjustable to whatever your circumstances are. If you can't, I don't physically have the space to go set up a stone circle in my backyard and a bonfire and all that. I don't have the means to do that, nor would I have the physical capacity to do that. So, the spirits aren't going to go like, oh, well, we can't work with you because you can't, no, that's not how it is. So as I've adapted this, what I do more when I evoke or invoke a spirit is I work more on the channeling front. So I channel that communication and energy through myself, as opposed to the other methods of which someone would evoke a spirit or try to communicate with them through, scrying or smoke scrying or through any type of ritual work. So that's what I do. Now, also to mention within that is because I am highly skilled at working with energy and connected to the energetic currents from, I'm a Reiki master. I've done certifications in crystal healing, crystal Reiki, shamanic Reiki. So I am used to working with energetic currents that maybe not everyone, either has access to or works with in the same way. So that for me helps, like, it's kind of like having a direct line in a way. It's kind of like you call on that energy and then you can kind of pull it through, because I use it to connect to my spirit guides in that way very easily. And before I started doing Reiki, before I started learning Reiki, I had a really hard time connecting to my spirit guides. But once I started doing that, like, it was just like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh wow, I have a lot of spirit guides here and power animals and things like that. So that's something that helps me work with these different energies. So when I'm creating a product, whether it be for the first time or the 500th time, it's like that energy kind of comes through me into the product. That, okay, maybe I'm not doing some gigantic, hours long ritual, but I'm channeling that energy through me into what I'm creating. And sometimes in the creation process, that's how it works, because not every entity, when you go to, I have some reference books and, obviously the internet, not every spirit out there has a whole host of, herb, what are the herbal correspondences, or especially when you get down into like deep into the Goetia or the Grimoire Verum and things like that, or some of the lesser known entities, there just isn't a lot out there. It's going to be easier to put together an oil for Aphrodite than it is for, someone way, deep into, the Goetia or any of these grimoires and stuff like that. So part of it is, I might research to get some of those historical correspondences, but if I can't find a historical correspondence, I have to kind of start looking. Like, my secondary thing is, okay, well, let's see what the spirit, what they're about, what they do. If they're like an underworld spirit, okay, I've got to kind of pull in some of my underworld associations. If they're associated with love, I might pull in some stuff that's associated with love. But more often than not, I will either get an intuitive hit that, like, okay, put this in, put this in, put this in, or I will get a direct message on what to put in. And sometimes with, for results may vary. I think it was when I was first making the Zazel ritual oil, I found, some correspondences and stuff there, and I was kind of like, I feel like this needs something else. Or maybe it was the incense. I was like, I feel like this needs something else. And I know how from previously working with him, he said he liked poppy flowers, which I had already added to it. And for some reason, I needed to add Solomon's seal root. That was what he asked for. You'll see in other people's websites, offerings that they've made that spirit particularly liked. So it's kind of, sort of in that way too. I think it was when I was making something for King Paimon, I was like, this is again, I was kind of like, I feel like this needs something else. And, he asked for whatever the most expensive thing was, because he's a king after all. Shamyaza, I completely just like zoned out and, just grabbing stuff off the shelf and sniffing things and managed to come up with something there. But that's kind of my process for it. So that's how I channel that energy into the products that I create, from whether I'm just making it right now for the first time and have never made it before, to I'm making the 500th batch of it. And because I do a lot of energy work within Reiki, everything has kind of got that energy flowing through it that's connecting it to the appropriate intention or the appropriate spirit. So it's all kind of interconnected in different ways using the energy. So in case you're wondering how that worked. I have various altars set up and magical little sacred spaces throughout my entire house, which is where I make everything and everything's stored. So you're always getting some kind of energy influx within there. And I should probably do a video sometime about a little bit more about how like working with Reiki energy works in this thing, because Reiki isn't, or maybe I could talk about it now, who knows? I should probably go into it further. But like Reiki isn't only just doing like self-healing and stuff like that to feel good and whatever. I mean, you can Reiki, you can add that energy to anything, to whether you add it to your herbs or to a candle or to an oil or a crystal or something, or yourself, your very cutely sleeping kitty cat. So it's an energy that's very, very easily transferable in that sense. So I find I use it a lot as like a power amplifier. And when I'm making things, it's just kind of like, it's something that's constantly flowing through me, that you get that energy. So when it comes to, there's really no way in any measurable, there's no measurable way to say how much of a spirit's energy or an intention's energy. It's like, I can't tell you if this is at 10% or 500%. It just is what it is. It's got that energy signature to it. So I am not one to, maybe it's just because I'm not mathematically inclined. I just, I don't think about things in that terms. I know some people, I've answered this question in other videos where it's like, well, how many days was this charged for? I'm like, I know. And because I don't work that way. And because of the volume of sales of my business, I often have to work expeditiously. So most of the times things are created in the process they're created. And I mean, there's some things that I make every month. So it's got, a month's worth of charge, quote unquote, being charged in it. Or there's things that maybe I make a few times a year. So they're going to accumulate different types of energies over that time. And, not for nothing, I do keep not my space. I do probably should do more than I actually do, but I do regular energy cleansing and stuff like that of the home, of negative energy. I have lots of wards. I have lots of like crystals and things everywhere. So, I try to keep myself protected, as well as, the individual intentions of the products, not kind of commingling with, something that would, I don't want to love spell oil, commingling with the energy of a breakup spell oil, because, not going to work. So that's kind of a little bit of what I wanted to talk about. I found that for me, it was interesting how I learned how to, the spirits taught me how to channel, because I was so reliant on doing things in the astral realm that for a period of time, they just completely blocked my access to doing anything on the astral realm. So I could learn how to channel, because that's how I was using it to communicate with the spirits. They wanted me to be able to do it like I'm sitting here right now and can, download a message or whatever. So that's a lot of how I've learned to hone my skills over the years. And I mean, I do miss doing rituals, like longer, more intense rituals and things like that. But Maybe someday. The majority of my issues come from my back. I've got several things going on there, and right now, currently, I'm on Celebrex, which is working well, but you can't be on it long term because it causes cardiovascular issues. So, in another month, I got to figure something out. And the muscle relaxers don't do anything other than make me sleep. So, yeah. But it's just a matter of, space, mobility, pain, because, I can't really sit in front of my altar for, I would say, maybe half hour tops before I'm in pain. Like, that's going to completely distract me and thwart me from what I'm trying to do. So it's, yeah. So interested to hear your thoughts on this. I sometimes I feel like I'm like, occasionally, when I look at other, I'll admit, like when I look at other like ritualists and things like that, I'm envious in a way of what they can do, and I think I'm like, man, I feel like I'm just like lazy ritualing it. But we've got to find what works for us. Like if you can't walk, how are you expected to cast a circle? You're going to have to do it in a very different way, or you're going to have to set up things in a permanent or a more permanent kind of way. Like I can kind of, sitting where I'm at now, I can, within reach and within, it's kind of like, I'm here, I've got a couple things here, some crystals and a candle or two. And if you bounce over there, I've got a lot of my dark goddess stuff, and then up to my Morrigan stuff, and then over there's to my main working altar, which is mostly like Luciferian. And if you bounce into the kitchen, I've got a whole bunch of stuff in the windowsill. If you go upstairs, there's other things, there's artwork everywhere. So I kind of have things like that. You could, thinking of it in terms of like the way the internet works and like pinging from one server to another. It's like, well, pinging from one magical object to another throughout the room. So I could sit comfortably on my couch, on my, full body heated heating pad, memory foam heating pad, which Corey is very happy with right now. Yeah, right, buddy? Would you wake me up for Mom? Oh, sorry. Hi, Moon. Come here. Do you want to say hi? You don't come into videos very often, Moon. Come on. Say hi. Yeah, I know Corey's up here too. This is Moon. Say hi, Moon. She's like, oh, now Corey's interested. Corey is a very jealous cat. Corey needs all the love all the time. And this is what we call double kitty snuggle time, which they absolutely hate. Even though they snuggle together all the time. They're like, why would you do this, human? Why would you hold us both at the same time? This is horrible. Let us go. And then they run away. And then they'll get in a fight because, yeah, it's each of their fault, not mine, for, attempting to cause the harm of love through double kitty snuggle time. Anyways, yes, this is my wonderful world I live in with my cats. I completely lost track of where I was going with this, but I hope you enjoyed double kitty snuggle time. Because I know everyone loves Corey. I have to remind him of that all the time. Because at any given time, Corey just needs to know that he's a good boy. It's not the goodest boy. Anyways, I think I've covered everything I needed to or wanted to about evocation and invocation and channeling, and the TLDR of it is whatever works for you is okay. You don't have to be married to how another person does it or how it's written in a book. Modify the out of it and do what works for you. You're going to find the most power in doing that than trying to follow a script or follow someone else's instructions in a book. That's why I don't really give out rituals. I mean, I was joking the other day as I was going through a box of things. I'm like, I just will find like rituals and stuff written on like the back of like a piece of paper or an envelope or something, or just like little things like do this, and this. And probably not why I'm ever going to release like a ritual book, because yeah, that would be finding all my little pieces of paper that say things on them. because they're just all over the place. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. And if you want to support us further, we have memberships on our YouTube channel and Patreon for exclusive premium content. Highly worth it. So check that out. And I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.